Welcome to this Arnold Clifford tutorial on the long tail and German twisted cast-on method. This video is part of our Confident Knitting series, 12 patterns to teach you 12 new techniques from the world's best knitting designers. Today's tutorial will show you how to work a combination of two cast-on methods that together work brilliantly for ribbing. You'll use the long tail method for the knit stitches and the German twisted method for the purl stitches. This method is used by Gudrun Johnston in her beautiful Stella hat, which is one of the patterns in Confident Knitting. This flexible method can be used for any combination of knit and purl stitches and makes a really nice edge that has both stability and stretchiness, so it's perfect for ribbing. I'm going to demonstrate this method setting up stitches ready for knit to purl to ribbing, but you can easily adjust it for any combination of knits and purls. As usual, we have the video divided into chapters, so if you hover over the time bar, you'll be able to see the different sections of the video and you can jump to the section that you require. This cast-on method uses a long tail, clues in the name. So how do we ensure that our tail is long enough? Well, the method I use is pretty straightforward, just helps to make sure that you've got enough yarn. So hold the end of your tail, you'll have a little bit there, and wrap it around the needle that you're going to use 10 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, obviously you're trying to use roughly the same tension as you'll be using for your stitches, and then pinch both ends of the yarn and take them off the needle. You've now got a length of yarn for 10 stitches and you can use that to measure out how much tail you need, so that would be enough for 30. Obviously you probably want to add a little bit on for safety at each end, but I'd say that that now is absolutely certain to be enough for 30 stitches. I'm holding my yarn at the point I measured out from the tail, and the tail is down here towards me, and my working ball of yarn is up here. So the first job to do is to make a slip knot at that point that I've marked and pop that slip knot onto my needle. So I'm now arranged with the working yarn away from me and the tail towards me, and I'm going to use my thumb and index finger from my left hand to come between those two strands of yarn, and I'm using the rest of my fingers to grasp both strands of yarn. I'm putting my index finger, or you can use your thumb, to hold the slip knot on the needle, and you're going to make this slingshot or Y-shaped position. Okay, so the needle here is the stem or handle of the slingshot, and the two strands of yarn coming off it are the arms of the slingshot or the arms of the Y. And this is the base position for this cast-on method. The slip knot on my needle counts as my first knit stitch, so I need to cast on one more knit stitch, and the knit stitches are cast on with the long tail method. So I bring my needle slightly across to the left towards my thumb, and I then dip the needle tip down and come underneath and up through the loop on my thumb. I then bring it over the strand of yarn on my index finger, and I'm scooping that index finger yarn through the loop on my thumb. Once you've brought that index finger yarn through the loop on your thumb, you can let go of the loop on your thumb and then gently tighten up the stitch you formed on your needles. So that's our first knit stitch created by the long tail method. And now we're going to move on to the German twisted method. So I'm back into that slingshot position. I've got my index finger holding the stitches onto my needle. Needle is the stem or handle of the slingshot, and the two strands of yarn are the Y. So the German twisted method to make the purl stitch is very, very similar. It's just got a little twist in it, as you might expect. So bring the needle across to the left again, same as before. But this time we're not coming up through the loop, we're going to go underneath both strands of the loop, and we're going to come up in the middle between the arms of the Y. We're then going to come down into the loop on our thumb. Okay, You then bring the needle tip kind of towards your body and over the top of the index finger yarn, and you're now scooping that through the loop on the thumb as we did before. Now the loop on the thumb is twisted, so you'll just have to shimmy it back through and underneath. So I can now drop the loop off my thumb and gently tighten it up, and that's created our purl stitch. Let me take you through that once more. So back to our slingshot position, to the left and underneath both strands of yarn, up in the center, and now come down through the loop on your thumb, head round towards yourself and over the top of the index finger yarn, and you're scooping that index finger yarn through the loop on your thumb. So bring it back down so that that loop on the thumb pings off, and you can let go of it and tighten it up. So we've now created 2 knit stitches and 2 purl stitches. I'm now going to show you slightly more zoomed in, and I'm going to work through 2 knits and 2 purls, just going quite nice and steadily. So slingshot position, to the left and up into the loop on the thumb because we're doing the long tail. Scoop the index finger yarn through, and then again up into that loop, scoop and through. Those are our 2 knit stitches, and now we're going to do the 2 purl stitches, always returning to that same base starting position. This time we go under both strands and up into the middle, back down through the loop on the thumb, over and scoop through. Same again, under both strands and up, back down into the loop, bring it round kind of towards your body and over the top to pick up the index finger yarn, and then you're bringing that back so that it's scooped into the loop, and that gives us another 2 purl stitches. And you're going to continue casting on in whatever combination of knits and purls as you need until you have sufficient stitches on your needles. Once we've worked some rib over the top of that cast on edge, we can see that it makes a really lovely stretchy edge, and the knit stitches there have the long tail cast on at the base of them, and then the purl stitches in here have the German twisted method, and that extra twist just makes them sit even more nicely as kind of purl stitches on the edge there, and that adds that extra level of stretchiness to that edge. I hope you found this tutorial on the long tail and German twisted cast on method helpful, and that you'll be confident using it in your next project. This was the Stella hat by Gudrun Johnston, which is found in our book Confident Knitting, along with tutorials and projects for 12 new patterns and techniques for you to learn. You can find out more about Confident Knitting by heading over to our website and clicking the link up top here. And you can be sure of catching our next video tutorial by subscribing to our YouTube channel with the button down the bottom. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye bye.